Now enough about me. Let's move on to what the owner of this channel has been playing recently.
As you may or may not know, depending on whether this part goes out before the commentaries we previously recorded, I've recently got my hands on Tales of Symphonia Dawn of the New World, which is a sequel to Tales of Symphonia that was on the GameCube. And before any Americans in the room say, hasn't that game been out for a year? Well, since Namco of Europe are complete and utter bastards, they decided to delay the European release for a year and a half. I don't know why, and I am most certainly not bitter or anything like that. Anyway, I have the game now at long last. For those who don't know what the Tales of news is like, it's basically a JRPG, but it's not turn-based. It's got an action-based battle system, kind of like a very basic version of Smash Bros. Brawl. You have regular attacks which you control with the A button and moving direction stick, and special moves which you learn, which you assign to the B button and direction movement. So, yeah, there's no way for one guy to have their turn in this.
Yeah, rather interesting system and rather fun to do.
So yeah, one thing you'll always know about the Tales games is that the battle system is going to be fun. Story and other gameplay features, that's the debatable part. Now, I remember, Sven, you got it a while ago and said you had some issues with it, or
Yeah, I had some issues with the fact, this is just posterity, shallow that sort of side of me, but for one, I didn't like the fact that they changed all the voice actors, most of them.
Yeah.
And for two, the story just didn't make sense to me.
Okay, yeah, that's fair enough. To go over the first point about voice actors, I do agree it's kind of annoying that they changed all the voice actors except for Tara Strong, Cam Clark, and Heather Hogan, who played Crusader, Kratos, and Colette respectively. It wasn't that problem to me because they still gave good performances, so I prefer to think of it as like an internet fandom. All the voices are pretty good, and you can believe it's those characters, but there are some slight differences that do kind of stick out, and that is kind of where it begins to grade, I think.
Yeah. Oh, quick fun fact before we continue. The guy who voiced Regal in Tales of Symphonia 2 also voiced the main character in Red Faction Gorilla.
Oh, and whilst we're on this, I was also going to say the voice acting for the new characters is great, and speaking of which, the new protagonist for this game, Emil, is voiced by Johnny Bosch, who we've literally mentioned 10 minutes ago. Oh, these voice actors get around. The opponents I had a slight problem with is Brian Peacock as Lloyd, but to be fair, I think that's more of casting the performance, because once again, his performance isn't bad, it's just that the original voice actor for Lloyd, Scott Menville, had a really, really distinctive voice, which no one can impersonate, no matter how hard they try. And I think with him they decided, okay, there's no way we're going to copy this, just do your normal voice. And it's so different that it grates. I think that's the only reason I have a problem with it.
Yeah, I agree wholeheartedly.
Yeah. Enough of the voice actors now. In terms of gameplay, it's a pretty solid game, actually. There's like two features which are new to this series, one of which has been complained about a lot, but I'll get into that in a moment. The first being the monster catching system, which is actually a pretty cool idea. Basically, the monsters you're fighting, you can catch them and then put them on your side and then use them in battle. So it's kind of like Pokemon, but in RPG terms, which is kind of cool.
Yeah, although I never got around to doing much of that because I quit very near the beginning.
Ah, that's fair enough. I can understand that. The point, it's a pretty interesting system. There's only one massive flaw into it, in that the monsters themselves don't really have that much personality. So when the human characters come in, and the same human characters are the original cast of Tales of Symphonia, then you're not interested in using the monsters. That's a long point. I mean, yes, the monsters can level up where the Symphonian characters don't, but frankly, if I had a choice between using sort of like characters like Rain, Gina, Sheena, Regal, characters who I grew to love over the first game, and a bland characterless monster that looks cool but that's about it, I'm going with them every single time.
Yeah, because the monsters, from what I can tell, they're basically the monster versions of Link from Zelda.
Yeah, that is kind of vaguely true. No personality, just a couple of grunts. One of the gameplay feature is that there is no overworld. That one's been complained about a lot. What they've got instead is a point-and-clicking system, which I don't know whether they did it because they ran out of time or they didn't think the Wii would be powerful enough. That I'm not really sure how I feel about it, to be honest. It doesn't, in terms of gameplay, it doesn't really affect that much because it's basically just clicking on something and waiting until you go to the next town, which is like literally 5 seconds. It does kind of feel like it's taken something away, so yeah, I'm kind of neutral on that one. One complaint, and it's actually something that means to get off my chest for a while now, but the bosses. This doesn't detract from my overall opinion of the game. I'd still say it's a good game, and if you're a fan of JRPGs, get it, but I will warn you this. The bosses are some of the most cheap, overpowered bastards to fight. Especially you, Dex. I'm looking at you, Dex, you random freak. You, God. In terms of Symphonia, the original, and some other RPG, the bosses were challenging, and you were gonna die if you fail around like a wild idiot, but once you got to grips with the battle system, then, yeah, you can pretty much beat the enemies after a short amount of time. In this game, bosses are so ridiculously powerful. I mean, I was leveling up constantly. I was fighting every single enemy on the way. I wasn't running away. I was fighting every single monster, leveling up, getting experience points. Then I faced Dex, and in one combo, he takes off 1/5 of your health.
Good lord.
Yeah. And you think, well, it was a one combo, you should avoid it. That's the problem. You think, okay, I'll just block this and then attack into the gap. There's literally no gap. There's like 1 second where you can land a blow, and then he resumes his combo on you, smacks you around, and takes off another 1/5 of your health. Nearly all the bosses in the later stages of the game like this. They're ridiculously powerful, so that if you get caught in a combo, you're gonna be using the items to heal you very, very quickly, otherwise they will kick your ass.
That's just evil, really.
Oh, I feel cleansed. But anyway, to sum up, aside from the really cheap-ass bosses, the game itself is fun, so if you're a fan of ARPGs, I recommend giving this game a look, although it'd probably be better to check out the original Tales of Symphonia on the GameCube, because that's still better than this, in my honest opinion.
And in mine.
So enough of games for this episode, moving on to manga. Now, in all honesty, I haven't been reading a lot of manga in a lot of time, except for the big two, Naruto and Bleach. And to get started with Naruto first, it's been very, very depressing. For those who haven't been keeping up with the Naruto arc, here's a vaguely spoiler-free view of what's been going on recently.
Sasuke, the spotlight-hogging anti-hero, has gone evil and has now decided that he's going to attack a summit of leaders of the ninja world that, unsurprisingly, has his ass handed to him. At this point, the guy who, unfortunately, looks like to be the main villain of this series, Madara Uchiha, enters, and then, for no apparent reason, reveals what I consider to be probably one of the worst villain plans in the entire world, which is that he is going to obtain the ultimate power so that he could project his Sharingan hypnotic eye onto the freaking moon and hypnotize anyone.
Which is a good plan if you don't consider the fact that, the moon is only visible at night, and even then only half of the moon would be visible, and therefore it wouldn't be that effective.
Oh yeah. Some villains just try so hard and fail so spectacularly.
Yeah, I pretty much lost all respect for him when that happened, and considering my respect for him was pretty low as it is, yeah.
That's saying a lot.
Yeah, and you know what, I really miss the days when the Akatsuki's plan was just become the most powerful ninja, sell our services at cheap prices, bankrupt all ninja villages, and then take over the world when there are no ninjas, because it was a little convoluted, but it was simplistic and it actually made sense. The other plans since then haven't.
Yeah.
Moving on.
Whilst all this has been going on, in a rather convoluted melodramatic moment that really makes no sense, Sakura has come out to Naruto and confessed that she loves him, although it turns out that was in fact completely fake since she still loves Sasuke, but she has also decided that she is now going to kill Sasuke, and so she thought that she would make Naruto feel happy by claiming that she loved him, and
oh god.
Yeah. We witnessed this week firsthand a character dive bombing in the development department straight into the ground.
Yeah, I mean, I know a lot of people dislike Sakura. I started liking her early in the series, especially the Chunin exam arc, which the Chunin exam arc is the reason why I consider Naruto a good series at all. If you're gonna read Naruto at this point, read that arc because that is the only good part of it. I'd say now.
Yeah, there was potential at the start of the time skip. I will grant that.
Yeah, it's been completely squandered since then. As we extend my theory from the Twilight Princess episode of Video Game Troubadour that it is in fact Kishimoto's body double, but that's a long story.
Yeah, go check that VGT episode out if you want further information.